If you have the small towel, you can use it kind of flat underneath you like this so that your shoulders are underneath it. We're not going to start with abdominal work, but we're going to start moving first, so you can adjust it at any point. But just laying on your back. And today I want to focus a little bit on mobilizing and stabilizing through the upper body. So connecting into the shoulders as well as getting the upper back to move. It's really hard to get the upper spine to move because the lower spine and the neck tend to try to take over for us. So with yourself laying on your back in a comfortable position, just kind of turn your head a little side to side and feel if there's any tightness one way or the other. How far can you turn your head? Does it feel like it goes evenly in both directions? And then bring your head back to the center and kind of lengthen through the back of the neck and nod your chin. And you'll feel, hopefully, how when you lengthen the back of the neck, the ribs come down and in towards the floor. And that's what we're going for pretty much anytime we're going to pick our head up off of the ground. And then bring one hand to the sternum, one hand to the bottom ribs. And you're going to inhale into both hands and into the floor, expanding in all directions. And as you exhale, I want you to let the ribs soften in and down and feel that lengthening through the back of the neck. And again, inhaling three-dimensionally into the sides, the back of the ribs, into both hands. And then as you exhale, feel like you get longer through the back of the neck, the ribs and the sternum soften in and down. And you feel your abdominals connecting around the bottom ribs, not because you're squeezing them, but because you used your breath and your breath helped you to connect them. We're going to keep our ribs and our sternum kind of softened in like this and reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Activate through the arms so you're not reaching forward or you're drawing back. Your shoulders are centered in the joint. And if you need to take another breath and reconnect the ribs, softening through the sternum, lengthening through the back of the neck. And then I want you to make small, quick little circles. So you're trying to connect into your rotator cuff muscles. You're not moving from your hands, you're moving from where your arms attach to the shoulder girdle and the scapula, the shoulder blade, onto the back. And then reverse your small little circles. Try not to let your whole body bounce around, that you're just doing those tight little circles. And it requires a little bit more abdominal work than you would think to keep everything else from moving around. And then I want you to pause the arms, but feel the shoulder blades really connected. Imagine you have heavy weights and you push your arms open. You keep the back of the shoulder blades in focus and you press your arms back up. So as you're pushing the arms open and closing, I want you to feel like you're keeping the back of the shoulders connected. This can be as easy or as hard as you want it to be. If I just let my arms open and close, I really don't feel very much. But if I push and press against the space, like I'm creating internal resistance, which is one of the challenges of mat work, is you have to create some of that internal resistance. But it's good because it means you don't need equipment to be able to train your muscles. And then keep the arms up for a second. Imprints, lift one leg up to tabletop, lift the other leg up to meet it, squeeze the inner thighs together, and do that same thing with the arms pushing open and close, open and close. And then as you continue, I want you to start to play around with letting the arms go on different directions. So maybe up on a high diagonal, maybe one's going on a low diagonal, but you're keeping that sense of push-pull. Maybe the feeling of like if you had a big ball of taffy or something between your hands and you're trying to stretch it out and then push it back together. Pushing and pulling, each time letting the arms go in a couple different directions. See if you can go a little faster. Pushing and pulling and open and closing and open and close. Yeah. Squeeze the legs together so they're not just passively kind of perched up there. They're really actively engaged. Make sure you've maintained your imprint. And then bring the arms back up. The arms are gonna go overhead with that same push-pull feeling and then back towards the ceiling. As they go overhead on the next one, make sure you keep your imprint and the bottom ribs down. And then you're gonna add one leg extending on the diagonal and everything comes back and extend and everything back. Make sure you don't lose your imprint. Reach and come back and press through one leg and both arms. Trying to not just poke a leg out there, but feel that same ball of taffy that you're pulling and pushing against. You can add your arms in a circle so they go overhead, circle around and come back up to the ceiling to go again. Reaching. See if you still feel that connection through the shoulder blades into the back of the rib cage, into the upper back. And just like always, I'm gonna layer the exercises, so if anything feels like it's too much on any given day, just don't keep layering with me. You could always keep your legs in tabletop. You could always have one foot down right now. Last one each way. And then you're gonna set the arms down, set one leg down, set the other leg down. Take your legs wide to the sides of the mat. Let your knees drop one way and turn and rotate the pelvis. You're trying to keep the upper body down in opposition to that, and then the other way. And of course it's gonna move, but you're trying to go from one side to the other. Find a big stretch to the opposite arm. So the arm might go up on the high diagonal. Feels pretty good if your arm goes, yeah. So if your knees flop over to the left, the right arm would be reaching really far in opposition to that. Yes, so you're getting the pecs to move. Tom, see if you can let your, whichever direction you're going towards, see if you can let the bottom leg fall all the way to the ground. The left one, yeah. It's very free form. It should feel like you're trying to get one side of your pelvis. So like I'm going to my left, I'm trying to get the right side of my pelvis to come further so that it's almost stacking on top of the left side versus leaving the pelvis flat and just tipping the knees. So the pelvis is not staying flat. I'd like the pelvis to rotate. Use your butt, your glute, and push your hip open. Drop your knees one way. Use your glute and push your hip open, yeah. And if you're taller, you might need your feet further apart than mine are. Some of you, your knees are kind of almost stacking on top of each other. You want to have some space between those legs. Add the leg opening, so as you tip to one side, you're going to reach through the leg to try to straighten it a little bit. And then the legs come in, you come back to the center, your knees, your pelvis rotate. You reach through that back leg as far as it feels good to you. Keep pulling in the abs. And a couple more times, reaching through the leg and pulling back in. Opening, think of that big ball of taffy still, feeling that your arms are reaching away from the leg to try to create that stretch and that pull. Opening. And one more each way. Reach open and come back to the center and come all the way back in. Bring your arms down by your side someplace comfortable. If your shoulders tend to roll forward, then let's have the palms facing up, which I'd say is probably the majority of us. Bring your feet sits bones distance apart, nothing under your head. Tip into your imprint and then roll through your hips to open across the front of the hip joint. Press open through the front of the hips. At the top, think of shortening the distance between your ribs and your hips and connect under the glutes a little bit more. And then feel like the knees are reaching away from the crown of the head as you roll down through your spine, trying to articulate. Once the bottom ribs get down on the floor, keep them down there as you return the pelvis back to neutral. And again, tipping towards your belly button, opening across the front of the hip, rolling up, Inhale at the top, and then exhale, rolling back down. Just trying to get our spines moving in multiple planes of motion here to warm up even further. Rolling up, try not to flare the ribs at the top. Inhale, and then exhale to roll back down. One more time, you're gonna come up and stay up there at the top. Once you're at the top, let one side of the pelvis go down a little bit lower, and then connect the glute to push it back up. So you rotate a little, you press it up. Little rotation, press it up. Try to connect the ribs so the ribs aren't flaring here. Shorten the distance between the ribs and the hips. That's good, Gloria. Yeah, nice. Try not to make it like a big down and up motion. It's just rotation. Yeah. So it's less. Little rotation and back up. Little rotation. And then if that feels possible and like you can mentally coordinate it, you're going to add this into a figure 8 motion. So you drop one hip, you kind of shift laterally, you go up and over. And it's like this lateral movement. You're kind of going side to side and a little bit into rotation. So down, up and over, little down, little over, little down, up and over. Yeah. Try to smooth it out. Connect through the bottom ribs. Should feel some glutes working, as well as abdominals, some of your stabilizers in your spine. And coming back to the center, roll back down really slow and try to find some new space in your lower back that you didn't know was there, that you can move through. And then come back down to your neutral. Move your feet a little bit away from you. Since so many of us are sitting a lot, I'm gonna have our feet further away to get a little more space for our hips, and then take your feet as wide as the widest part of your hips. So again, this is not your standard position, it's just to get more opening through the hips. If you're using a towel, you can grab behind the towel, let your head hang back into this hammock as you come up in your ab prep, and then lower down. You also could do it with the arms long by the side, coming up and lowering down, or the hands could be behind the head. I'd say if your hands are by the head, I would be really focused on making sure you're not just pulling on your neck. So I kind of prefer those other two options. So nod the chin, slide the ribs towards the hips to flex up. Inhale, stay, your neck is easy, it's hanging back into that towel, and then lower it back down. Inhale, lengthen the back of the neck, feel those ribs descend. As you exhale, feel the sternum soften down and in, and you roll up and over it. So the lungs become the fulcrum that you're folding over, rolling over. And do 2 more like that. Inhale, exhale, soften the sternum down. Feel the bottom ribs come down into the floor for you to come up. Once you're up there, stay. If you're using a towel, you're gonna do this like kind of bouncing motion from side to side. We've done this before. If your arms are down by your side, just bring them together and do this little pulsing side to side. It's very playful feeling. It's not about it being perfect. Just trying to get some movement through all the tissue in our bodies today, especially through the upper back. And then you're gonna come all the way back down. One more time, you're gonna nod the chin. Wait till the sternum softens and the ribs connect before you roll up. Hands can come together or holding the towel, little pulsing. Little swing, swing, swing. Feel if one side feels tighter, if you feel restricted in any place, where is that spot? And as we continue to move, can we move through that area to get that to open a little bit more? And then coming back to the center and lower back down. Good. Okay, so then we're gonna roll onto your side and take your arms forward. We're gonna start to flow this together, but first let's figure out what we're doing. So your head can be flopped down. It's totally fine because we're barely gonna be there. Before you start to move, you're gonna reach your arm up overhead, do a big circle around, stretching in all directions. and then coming back in front across your body. And again, big circle, opening up and overhead, rainbow over your head, and then around. Try to squeeze the knees together and create the opposition of the top knee reaching forward as the arm opens, so that you're not letting everything flop open and back. You're only going as far as you can keep those knees stacked on top of each other. Good. Once you get back to your side, so we only went overhead. That's the way we're going to go today. You're going to take one foot back, and then you're going to roll back onto your back. So bringing the hands together, do that little pulsing motion, pulsing side to side, side to side, feeling that swinging motion. When you start to feel like you're tired or just ready to move on, you're going to roll onto your side. Bring the knees on top of each other. 2 big circles overhead. Circling the arm around. And big circle overhead. And then you can come back to laying on your back, and we're going to go the other way. Little circle, little swings. Whenever you're ready, you roll onto your side. Bend your knees, let the arm go up and overhead, big circle. Feel like that yawn quality, so pulling taffy, kind of yawning open. After you do 2 circles, come back to laying on your back. Unless you have a really wide mat, you just kind of have to do a little wiggle in between each one to find the center again. I'm going to do once more each way. On your own timing, roll onto your side. Big circle. So part of Pilates is also increasing your neuromuscular coordination. And so I'm kind of phrasing movements together in order to force you to have to think a little bit about where you're going. Plus, we want our bodies to be really coordinated in everyday activities. And those aren't totally isolated movements. Things connect one thing into the next. In order to just walk, you've got to connect a lot of complicated little motions together, which we never think about. And so part of this is just getting a little bit more coordination going, trying to connect some things into the next. And then once you get back onto your back, you should be about even, adjust as necessary. You're going to start that same thing again. You're going to do your little bounces. Let's just say 4, 3, and 4. Roll onto your side, 2 circles overhead. Big circle. If you want to extend the top leg out, you can. Big circle. Then you're going to sweep the top leg back. Put your hand on the floor. Drag yourself up. Yeah. And do a side bend towards your bent legs. If your knees are up, totally fine. If you can only go this far, totally fine. Just go as far as you can. And then slide yourself back out, roll onto your back, and 4 times we go pulsing, 2, 3, 4, roll onto the side, 2 circles overhead, around, keep connected to the abs. Circling around, your hands will come onto the ground. You can swing that top leg back to help you come up. Big stretch over. Hands can come back to the ground, and you come back onto your back. One more time, like that. Little pulse. 2, 3, 4. Roll onto your side. Yeah, big circles. And if I'm going faster than you can go slower. And reach the arm, push yourself up. That's right, that's right. That looks good. Try to connect one thing into the next. And we have one more side. Little swing. 2, 3, 4, start to roll to your side. 2 big circles overhead. And circling overhead. Arms come underneath you. You swing your leg out to help you get up. Big stretch up and over. And coming back down. Once you get down to laying on your back, you're going to take both hands together and reach the arms out overhead. Make sure the feet are relatively far away from you. You've got some space between them as well. You're going to bring the arms forward, nod the chin, and try to roll up. If you need to sneak your feet out a little bit further away from you, you can. Once you get up, you're going to sweep the arms out and around. You're going to think of like a dolphin kind of coming up and out. Your fingertips set down, and you're going to lift your sternum and your chest. Try to send your heart up and forward. Yeah. Then bring the backs of the hands back towards each other. Come back into that half roll back position. And we're just going to go halfway back, rounding back part way, coming up, kind of baby dolphin moment to come through. Lift the sternum, bringing the shoulders towards each other behind you, opening the collarbones, squeeze your elbows towards each other a little bit to help you. And again, half roll back, come forward, baby dolphin through, lift sternum to the ceiling. And rounding back, scooping forward and up and over, lift the sternum. And then we're going to add to this. So you start with that half roll back again. You come forward. You do that sweeping through baby dolphin moments. You're going to come back to that half roll back place. You're going to drop your knees open and sweep your arms around, touch any part of the floor you can to do a big twisting rotational stretch. Play around with exactly what height the arm is. You'll get a different stretch in different places with each of them. You come back to your half roll back. You come forward. We do our baby dolphin through. Lift the sternum, lift the chest, and go into that half roll back shape. Burst out of it into rotation, sweeping the arm around. And just start to play around with this. There's no perfect speed. There's no perfect in this. It's just human movement. There's nothing perfect about that. And we're just trying to find some smooth movement. So there's only really 3 parts. There's the half roll back. There's the baby dolphin extending through your upper sternum, and then there's the rotation. So any way you want to piece those 3 things together, I'm happy with that. Just getting things moving. In many of the classes, I've been pushing your strength a lot, and even on the Saturday class, and I'm not saying I'm not doing that today, but my focus is also on just getting things to move, mobilizing, because you can't be strong if things don't move. There's just no way. You could have those kind of, huge bicep muscles, but they don't do anything useful if you don't have movement happening in the joints. And it's also how people get injured. One more. Finding the fluidness and the smooth 3-dimensional movement of this. And then you're going to roll back to the back of the sits bones. You're going to stay, reach the arms forward, deepen your abs, go forward over the legs, and then round back. As you round back, you should feel the pelvis spin underneath you. Your eyes are going to look forward. You're just going to open to one side, come back to the center, open to the other side and center, and open and center. Try not to just hinge back off the hip joints. You're trying to round the lower back. And again, rounding the lower back, scooping through the abs. Open, feel the glutes pulling underneath you. Good, nice carry. And rotating. And once you're even, come back forward. As you roll down, you can go all the way down if you like. And you're gonna grab your towel. You're gonna hook it behind one leg, and you're gonna bring that leg up to tabletop-ish position. Towel's not very long for most of us, so don't worry if it's you're holding right at the ends. So now I want you to do a bicep curl. Push your leg into the towel to curl up to just back of the sits bones, and then roll back down. So you should be able to push your leg into the towel to bring yourself up, and then lengthen back down. So it's kind of helping you a little bit. And scooping, pulling yourself up. Try not to have to straighten it all the way. Maybe sneak your feet a little further away from you. Some of you, I think your standing foot is just a little too close. And one more time on this leg, rolling up. You're gonna roll all the way back down to the floor. Stay there, straighten the bottom leg out. Hold that leg there, and just try to straighten the leg in the air a little bit and bend it. You should feel your biceps working. Point your elbows down, stay connected through the back of the shoulder. Open the top leg and bend it. If you can flex the foot, go for that. Not the most pleasant feeling to have this big stretch, but it should feel like you get some opening through the whole back of the leg. I like using the towel because it doesn't stretch, whereas the band would move around on you. Yeah, that looks good. One more time. You're gonna leave that leg up, lift the other leg up to like your scissors start position. You can either leave your head down or lift your head up, nod your chin, flex your upper body up. One leg is gonna go towards you, one leg goes away from you, and then you reach the other leg out. So you're just kind of pulling. You're adding a little bit of your upper body work to this by having to lift your heavy leg. You go towards the inner thigh with that inside arm. It should be able to sneak across pretty easily. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Bring the legs back up, lower your head down, put your free leg down and bend the leg in the air. Push into the towel, roll up to sitting. Stop once you get up there and switch the towel over to the other leg. And doing a few of those roll downs where you're pushing your leg into the towel to open up through the front of the hip to give you a little bit of help. You're doing like a bicep curl as you come up, and then you're lengthening back down. Good. You're allowed to push into the towel. That is the idea, that you're using it to gain mobility through the pelvis. So you might be able to get up either way, but it might be that you're kind of not able to articulate through your lower back as well as you can with the towel. Your other leg, the one that doesn't have the towel on it, it can be far away from you, but have it be bent. It will protect your lower back. Yeah. Yeah, have your free foot flat on the floor. Good. And one more time, you're gonna roll down, stay down, extend the free leg out, and then just start to bend and straighten the leg in the air. Just go as far as it's reasonable. And you can add that movement of the ankle. You're just holding the arms wide across the collarbones. Pressing up, flex at the top. There's no right amount your leg has to be able to straighten. You just go within the range that you can control. Nice. Good, nice, Bobby. One more time. The leg is gonna come up. You're gonna keep it there and lift the other leg up to meet it. Nod the chin, flex your upper body up, or keep your head down. One leg goes towards you, one goes away. Little pulse, pulse, and pulse, pulse. Lengthen the elbows, bend the elbows. Lengthen the elbows, bend the elbows. Even though this isn't symmetrical, you're trying to keep everything in the center. Not let yourself get pulled off. Last two. And then bring the legs up to the ceiling. Lower your upper body down. Set one foot down. Set the other leg down. Grab a hold of the towel between both hands. Sneak your feet a little bit away from you. You're going to reach your arms over to one side, and it kind of pulls the arms to one bicep is coming closer to your face, and then pull your arms the other way so the other bicep comes closer to your face. So do that a little bit to feel that pull and connection into the shoulders. And then I want you to see if you can take that into a little bit of flexion. So you make like a half circle to come up to the center. You set that shoulder blade down. You circle the arms back overhead. You pull the arms to one side. It brings you up in this like half circle motion, and you pull yourself back down. And keep alternating which sides you're going towards. And circling around, lifting up. And good. You can stay down. So we're still mostly in that ab prep thoracic flexion place. We're not trying to sit all the way up. And then start to take it into a full circle. So you go overhead, you go all the way around to one side, you come to the center, you go down all the way around to one side, come to the center. Make sure you set your head down when your arms are overhead so that you're not straining to do this. Feel like the arms are really pulling and leading you on this. It'll make it a little easier for your upper body and easier on the neck. Around, last one each way. And then coming back down. Good, take the loop of the towel and bring it behind your head. Point your elbows forward. Of course, you could always leave your head down, and you also have the option of making the towel flat again under your head. So feel the bottom ribs connecting down and in. Inhale, go back to that breath we started with where you exhale and soften the sternum, feel the ribs connect, feel the bottom ribs go down to flex you up in the center. Inhale once you get up, and then lower back down. So we're gonna add a leg lift to that. So you're gonna lift one leg to tabletop as you come up, and then set it down. We'll alternate between legs, keep the pelvis really stable, slide ribs to hips, and lower down. And exhale, slide ribs to hips, stay neutral through the pelvis, and lower down. Once more like that. Lowering down. If you want to have the legs in tabletop, you could do a toe tap of one leg and lower down. Instead of the lifting, you can be imprinted. Slide ribs to hips. And slide ribs to hips. Feel long through the back of the neck. Feel the sternum and ribs sink down and in to fold up and over them. Add this to oblique rotation, so you're going towards the bent leg if your legs are both up. If your foot is down, you'd be going towards the leg that's coming towards you. Sinking the low abs in, maintaining your imprint. Yeah, that looks good. And try to find that same smooth, fluid motion we were doing earlier so that you're not letting it kind of be choppy. You're not trying to kick your leg away from you. You're just doing a toe tap. One more-ish, finish up even on both sides. Come back to the center, lower back down, and we're gonna roll onto your side. And you're gonna hook the towel around the top knee and then hold on to both ends with one hand. If for some reason like your hands don't like this, then obviously you can ditch the towel. But you're going to be pulling down on the knee as the leg goes up and then pulling up as the leg goes down. So you're trying to create some internal resistance to open, pull up as the leg tries to go down, pull down as the leg tries to go up. If there's something going on with your hand, you don't want to hold the towel or you don't have a towel, you could put your hand here and push. It's just a little bit harder to make it smooth. So try not to make it fast, especially if you're not using a towel. I don't want it to be just floating up and down. I want it to be a press and a pull and a push and a pull. The outer hip, your outer hips, abductors, etc., glutes should already feel like they're working quite a lot. If they don't, then you're either not creating enough internal resistance or you're not stabilizing enough. Make sure when you get up, your foot is not higher than your knee. They're in line with each other. Yeah. Push and pull and push and pull one more time. And then you're gonna rotate your leg turned out and use your arm to kind of pull your leg towards you. Yeah. And then straighten your arm to lower your leg a little bit. Bend your elbow to pull your leg towards you, straighten to reach it away. Everybody has a different amount of turnout, but be turned out. So like Jocelyn, point your knee up towards the ceiling more. Yeah, there. So it's like your clam shape, like that. And then your bicep curling to lift the leg and tapping down. If you want to get fancy, you can pull the leg towards you, extend the leg towards straight, and bend it and lengthen. Lift. Should feel some arm work happening because you're assisting the leg so the hip flexor doesn't have to work as hard. Nice, Amelia. Good, Michelle. I like it. Looks good. Opening. Should feel quite a lot of rotators working by now. And last one. And then press your leg out away from you. Is it hard to hold on still? Yes, a little bit. You're gonna bring your leg forward and swing it back. And you're just letting your arm assist the leg a little bit. Push, pull. Pull with the arm, let the elbow reach. Pull with the arm, let the elbow reach. The idea here is that you'd be able to go a little bit further, get a little bit more length through the hip flexors. Last two, and last one. And then set the towel down and take that top leg out again, flex your foot, take the arm forward. So as the leg goes forward, the arm's gonna go back. So you're gonna rotate as you bring the leg forward and then rotate in the opposite direction. Rotate and rotate. You just have to let your chest turn to the ceiling. Let the chest turn to the floor as the leg goes back. Finding some nice fluid movement here. Open and swing. Last one, open and swing. And then bring the leg in. And from here, I want you to, let's bring the arm underneath you. So you're in your side plank position. So trying to not let the ribs sink down at all. So you're trying to lift those ribs up a little bit. And then from there, just turn the bottom arm out to about 45 degrees. We've been doing this tricep press where you push yourself up. If you need to sneak your feet back or adjust, feel free. But you're just dropping the elbow down and pressing it up. You're trying to not have it take you into a curve. So stay in neutral. One of the hard things about using our body weight to condition our muscles is our body likes to escape and get out of the challenges. It's clever, sneaky. And so as you're going down and up, you're trying to keep your torso in that straight plank. If you have done this a bunch and want to add to it, you can come up all the way and then you've got to lower all the way down. So you'd be trying to come all the way up and all the way down, and you're trying to make it so that it's not like your arm straightens, then your hips lift, then your hips go down, then your arm goes down, but that it's all as much as possible connected to one motion. And press, lift, and lower, and 3 more, lift, and lower, or just the arm. That's good. And then you're gonna sit. You can grab your knee if you need to sit. Grab a hold of both legs. Pull the elbows open. Lift your sternum, lift your chest. If that's uncomfortable in any way, sit cross-legged maybe is more comfortable. Press your sternum up. Find a little extension through the upper back. And then release that, rounding back, kind of hang off your knees or your legs. So you're rounding back of your pelvis, or you're rounding back of your pelvis. And then you pull against the knees to lift, bending your elbows, opening wide across the collarbones, feeling a connection between the shoulder blades. And then release that, swing yourself over to the second side. So the towel is gonna be behind the back of the top leg, holding on with that top hand, neutral spine. Start with pressing the knee up and down, pulling down as the knee goes up, pulling up as the knee goes down. It's some nice forearm work to have to be able to hold on to this towel as well, even though you probably won't feel that necessarily. So I still see some knees dropping. So try to keep that knee the same height. And everybody's hip socket is different. So don't feel like you have to open so big. It might be much smaller. It might be like this kind of range. Yeah, that looks better. Figure out what range works for your unique hip joints. Pelvis is staying stacked. If you can't feel any additional work from the towel, then something's not happening through the upper body. It should feel like you can pull and push against the towel enough that it's giving you more work through that outer hip. And it's the second side. The second side always gets tired more quickly. Nice. Good. Make sure you have something under your head if your head doesn't comfortably rest on your arm, a pillow, a block, anything, or your arm bent, but having your neck just floating, I don't think is gonna be very good for the outer top side of the neck. You might feel like it's creating tension. Last two. And last one. Then lift your leg up like the clam, so your knee is pointing up, your toes are pointing down. And then try to extend your leg, sorry, no, just lower and lift. Bicep curl first, so the simple version. So holding on, bicep curl to pull your leg up, extend the arm to lower it down. Bicep curl, lower, yeah. Exactly, and depending on your hip, it might be more in front of you like this, that's fine. We all have totally different hips, even though they're the same design. And then if you added the leg extension on the other side, extend the leg and pull, and try to get more of the entire back line of the leg to open. And opening. Hopefully you're feeling some lateral rotators in your hip. Every week I try to do something a little bit different so that if Saturday's the only day you can come, you get some variety here and we're not always working the same muscles. But of course, let me know anytime you have requests. Happy to try my best to accommodate them. So try not to let your whole chest open to the ceiling. Your shoulders should still be stacked. Your knee is turned up like your clam. And you're only extending as much as you can keep the femur still. Yeah, That's better. And then keep your leg straight, reach it down, do your 2 kicks forward, sweep back. It is hard to keep a hold of the towel. You're just doing the best you can. They make specific workout towels that are a little skinnier. So if you have a cheap towel, it's easier than if you have a thick, really plush one to hold on. Stay long through the back. So you're trying to not let your chest roll around. Nice. One more time. Last one. And then you're gonna let go of the towel and take the top arm forward, take the leg out long, and the arm is gonna open up to the ceiling as the leg goes forward, the arm opens, the chest opens, you do your 2 little pulses, and then you rotate in the other direction. Reaching and swing. And if you wanna get rid of the 2 pulses, it makes it easier to kind of go from one swing to the other. Swing and swing. Keeping it in a range you can control so it's not totally wild, but it is definitely playful and imperfect, fun kind of movements. Last one. And then coming back in. Come up onto your forearm and then kind of rotate the bottom hand so the hand's about 45 degrees out. Make sure the shoulder is connected, neutral through the spine, and then just push yourself up on your hand and lower yourself back down. I like to have the hand underneath the ribs because it helps me to notice if I've stretched out. So I'm trying to keep those ribs from sagging as I go up and down. But wherever your hand helps you the most, if you feel neck tension, if you drape your hand over your head and let your hand support the bottom side of your head, it will help a little bit. Nice. Good, Maxine, that looks awesome. And then if you added the full lift and the full lower to the other side, you should probably do it here too. And press, whatever you're doing, we have about 4 more. Thinking of that ball of taffy we were talking about at the beginning of class, thinking of pushing and pulling like it's attached to all your limbs. Let's do 1 more of whatever you're doing. And then set your knees down, grab a hold of one knee, turn towards your knees, pull against your knees to open your chest. You can also sit cross-legged. I feel like cross-legged, I can get more extension through my upper back. But if all you feel is hip tension, then pick another option. Hang back, let yourself round back, 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 back. And 1 more time, press the sternum, lift. You're going up and over something that's behind you. You're not just going forward. You're trying to go up the vertical axis and then kind of spilling out through the top of the head. And then coming back. Good. From here, you're going to bring your legs together, round to the back of your sit bones. If you don't have a lot of padding underneath, do this first version. So you're going to hold on to the back of one knee and then the back of the other knee. Find your balance. You're just going to round back a little bit and then scoop the abs and come back forward. So this should feel pretty hard. This is your rolling like a ball preparation. If you want to do the full rolling like a ball, you'd round back, you'd find that round back shape and that full spinal flexion. You inhale to roll back and exhale to come up. Your head never touches. You're rolling through the kind of stiffer part of the spine. So it's hard to make it feel like a ball. It tends to feel like rolling like a square. You're trying super hard to round. Obviously, I don't want anyone with bruised, bones tomorrow. So if you don't have padding, don't do the full roll. And if you notice yourself going off to one side, it kind of gives you information about one side of your obliques may be working more than the other. One more time. Then you're gonna keep holding on to the back of the legs, roll down to the floor. Either set your head down or leave yourself up. Single leg stretch, one leg reaches out. Exhale in, sweeping through the legs. Head could be down, hands could be behind the head, but try not to make it just your neck tensing up. If your hands are reaching forward, touch the knee that's coming towards you. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the legs to tabletop. Lower your upper body down. Hold on to your knees and just stir your knees around one way. And then stir the knees around the other direction. And when you're ready, roll onto your hands and knees. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Bring the legs all the way together. Tuck your toes under. Let yourself sink down between the shoulder blades. So that's where most of us end up disconnected, between the front of the shoulder blade and the back of the rib cage. So then you push the floor away, find length through all the curves of the spine to connect that muscle, serratus anterior. And then release that again slowly, and then reconnect it. When you're ready, either keep doing what you're doing or leg pull front prep. So you're gonna inhale, exhale, cinch around the entire center, helium balloons, float the knees off the ground into a low hover. You take an inhale and an exhale perhaps, and then you set the knees back down. And again, inhale, exhale, wrapping the abdominals around, getting longer to float the knees up like the suspension bridge, Golden Gate Bridge. It works because of tensioning in opposition. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but that's what I think is happening. So I want you to reach the crown of the head and the pelvis away from each other and feel like you're creating more length to create tension that stabilizes and supports you. And then set it back down. If you'd like, you're gonna hover the knees up, lift one leg without anything changing, set it down. Lift the other leg, set it down, set the knees down. Could do 2 or 4. You're trying to stay neutral. Yeah, nice, Gloria. Good, Tom. And again, on your own timing, trying to not come up higher off the ground just because you're lifting one leg. One last time. Connect, float the knees, lift and lift. Set the knees down. Sit back towards your heels into a little shell stretch. One last thing. Then you can have your Saturday morning. Lengthen yourself out onto the floor. If you need to put a towel under your hip bones, you can. Rotate your legs turned out. Bring your hands near your shoulders in that kind of W position. For 99% of us, our arms will need to be off our mat, not on the mat, because it'll kind of squish your shoulders. Connect through the back of the shoulders, push through the hands. Feel like there's a marble in front of your nose. You start to move forward, and I want you to feel the curving and extension of the upper back before you allow the bottom ribs to lift and then lower back down. So I want you to feel like you create that tensioning away from the feet. You start to articulate into extension through the upper back. And if that's going well, then you can lift up higher. You do have to push a little with your arms, but it's mostly your back extensors working. As you lower down, you connect into the abdominals. You're not kind of worming down. You're connected on both sides of the body and controlling it. That feeling of like you're reaching longer through the crown of the head, turtle coming out of the shell, as you start to come up into your extension, only as far as it feels good to your body today. Glutes are very active and lengthening back down. If your glutes aren't working, you're not going to have the stability you need through the lower back. So the glutes are supporting the back of the legs, back of the pelvis, creating opposition, and then the abs are supporting the front of the pelvis as you come up. And then lengthen all the way back down. Once you get back down on the floor, you can push yourself back again into your shell stretch. So instead of doing it like child's pose where you lay on your thighs, bring your hands a little closer to your knees, scoop and dome your belly away from your thighs and push through the arms. So you're trying to like have a beach ball on your thighs and you're rounding over it. take a few breaths here. And then you can stack up and you're all done.